These are the top 15 most disappointing beauty products I tried in all of 2025. And as someone who tests beauty products for a living, that's saying a lot. Because these aren't just the worst products that I tried, they're the products that I had high hopes for that really let me down. So diving in no particular order, the first most disappointing product was the Garnier Hair Filler Plus Polypeptides Fullness Repair Conditioner. I was so excited when I saw this launch because if you keep up with my recommendations, then you will probably know that the Garnier Hair Filler Strength Repair System is one of my all-time favorites. So when I saw the way that this was marketed, I was extra intrigued. It's described as being formulated with polypeptide citric acid and a repair care complex that fills thin, weak hair with volume for less hair fall due to breakage. So reading that, I was like, is this the new and improved strength repair? Because the strength repair system calls out citric acid and a repair care complex, but not polypeptides. So I kind of took that as them making that original formula even better and even more reparative, kind of like how Dove did with Bond Strength and Intensive Repair. But that obviously didn't happen because this is my 2025 fails video, so let's dive into why that is. The shampoo is not what I had an issue with at all. I found it to be extremely similar to the Strength Repair shampoo actually, both in terms of how it feels, how it performs in the shower, and how well it cleans my hair. It was the conditioner that caused issues for me every time because every time I used it, my hair felt dry. It felt actually like fragile when I would finger comb my lengths and ends, and it was getting really, really staticky as well. So I kept testing it out, expecting different results and like thinking each time, oh, maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it's because of like XYZ. Just because I love the strength repair conditioner so much and have never had issues with it. But finally, after, I don't know, like maybe the 5th time of using it, I was like, what the heck is going on with this? I need to look into this further. And that is when I realized they removed silicones from this system. And what do you know? They were using that as a main selling point. That was not only confusing for me because that is not something I've really ever known Garnier to do. I mean, I'm sure they have like at least a couple of silicone-free products, but in general as a brand, I don't think of them as one that markets in that way or chooses to do free-from marketing like that. Well, I guess they actually have done that before. I know I've seen paraben free from them, maybe one other thing, but never silicones. And if anything, I feel like Garnier is one of those brands where like basically every conditioning product they have contains silicone, so it's not even something that I would think to question, especially in a system that is specifically formulated for those with weak hair due to breakage. Because silicones are arguably one of the best kinds of conditioning ingredients that you could use for that purpose. And you guys know that I just hate silicone slander, period, but especially in a situation like this, when you're trying to tell the people that could really benefit from those kinds of ingredients that they need to avoid them in like a backhanded marketing way, I take issue with that. I don't like that. Hello, sir. Would you like to join us for this discussion? What do you think about silicones? Oh, you like them. You can't have them, no. No. It would not be good for you. Even though you want to eat anything you find. Yes, you do. And I feel like people might see this and argue that it's obvious that Garnier did that because silicones are heavy and they weigh down your hair and this is meant for people with thin hair, so they would need to remove them. But I feel like every chemist I've spoken to about this or watched videos of on this topic have talked about the fact that silicones are so much more lightweight than people realize. And they're often much lighter weight than the conditioning ingredients that are used in place of them or that they're often compared to. Like, oh, what was it? Not this summer, but last summer, I flew out to Texas to meet up with Alex from Educated Mess, film some content, and she actually was pouring ingredients into beakers for me, pouring silicones, pouring fatty alcohols, which are conditioning ingredients often used either in place of or in addition to silicones. And the difference was clear as day. Silicones were much lighter than so many of these other ingredients that people call out, oils, butters, things like that. Not to mention that in this case, that argument wouldn't really even make much sense anyway, because the conditioner is not that much more lightweight than the strength repair conditioner. Like, there's not enough of a difference in the weight of these two products for that to be removed as the reason why you're removing it. Does that make sense? And to take that one step further, the strength repair conditioner is one of the most lightweight conditioners that I recommend. Like, that is something that I often tell people to try when they have very fine, thin hair that's easily weighed down. It's just not a heavy conditioner, but it contains silicones and it does not give me any of the issues that this new conditioner gave me. So for all of those reasons, this was obviously a huge disappointment to me and is certainly not replacing my strength repair recommendation. That will continue to be my top recommendation from Garnier until further notice. The second most disappointing product is actually two different products, but they go hand in hand because they are both perfumes from the same brand, a dupe brand called Finery, and they just so happen to be dupes or attempted dupes of my two favorite fragrances of all time. The first of which is Killian Princess and is my personal favorite for fall and winter, and the second of which is Parfums de Marly de Lina, which is my favorite for spring and summer. While I love both of those fragrances so much, they are expensive. They are certainly not affordable. Princess is $150 and de Lina is $250. So while I generally am not obsessed with dupe brands, whether it be for fragrance or for makeup or skincare, I'm not gonna lie, the idea of getting a dupe for both of these fragrances for $30 each was enticing to me. It was. If you see things like moving around down here, oh, now you act so sweet and innocent when I put you on the camera, and meanwhile, when you're out of view, you are trying to bite my hand off. Classic. Ooh, but I love you and you'd be so sweet. Wanna lay like a baby? No, in my dreams. So it was an exciting idea, but one that was entirely unsuccessful. The dupe of de Lina is called Rosalina and is the better of the two in my opinion. It at least is like in the same extended family as de Lina, even though I definitely don't think it's a dupe at all. Rosalina just smells like a super standard basic rose fragrance to me. It's not layered, it's not complex, it's not any of the amazing exquisite things that de Lina is, but it at least was not offensive to me in the way that No Prince Required was, which again is their dupe for Princess. The reason why I love Princess so much is because it's such a beautifully balanced gourmand. I love a gourmand, a sweet fragrance, but I don't want it to be so sweet that it's sickly sweet. And I've definitely tried perfumes like that. Princess is nothing like that. You have the notes of marshmallow, yes, but also balanced out with things like green tea and ginger, which sounds kind of disgusting, but I promise it's perfect altogether. No Prince Required doesn't come anywhere close. To me, it smelled like watered down Dr. Pepper, and then it just like immediately disappeared. It had no projection. I just couldn't even smell it at all unless I like really tried to sniff my skin where I sprayed it. So I was like, what is the point of this? So both of those were absolute fails and things that I took extra personally. Moving on, we have the Beauty of Joseon tinted sunscreen. And I was not only excited just for the sole fact that I trust this brand to formulate an amazing sunscreen, but also because of the way they described it. They say things like it's the perfect balance of hydration and control. It's not too dewy. It's not too matte. It's silky, lightweight, feels like skincare, shine control that is glowing yet balanced. Like that sounds like my perfect kind of sunscreen, which is why I was extra confused when I felt it because it is so greasy. And it was not only greasy to the touch, like just in applying it, I was like, God, this is gross. It just feels like I'm rubbing something really greasy on my skin, but it was also very greasy in finish. And then on top of that, it didn't fully set either. So I'm left with this sunscreen that gives me this greasy looking finish after applying something that I didn't enjoy the feel of, with just this feeling of like a layer of grease sitting on my skin. And up close, I was able to see that in certain areas, if I didn't blend it super perfectly, it dried down streaky. So it was a complete mismatch from the way it was described, which for that reason alone was super disappointing. But then on top of that, having it be from Beauty of Joseon when I had such high hopes, it was just a big letdown. Next is the Maybelline Grippy Serum. This was disappointing for a couple different reasons. First, because people were raving about it on social media. I feel like every video I saw was a rave review about how amazing it was, so I just assumed it would work well for me and I would love it too. But second is because I was hoping that this would be a drugstore alternative to the Milk Hydro Grip Primer, which is one of my all-time favorite primers. Obviously, e.l.f. already had a grippy primer and it does work really well, but it's just not my absolute favorite to apply because it's not the most cosmetically elegant. It's pretty thick and stiff and obviously quite sticky. So compared to the Milk Hydro Grip Primer, which just has nicer glide and feels more lightweight, it's definitely not exactly the same. So I really liked the idea of this being in a more liquidy hydrating serum format while also giving that grippy effect. And while at first I liked the glow boost that this gave my skin, I felt like it just continued to go downhill as the day went on. And by the end of the day, my makeup always looked worse with this on than it did without. I definitely looked shinier, which I could give it a pass for because my skin is oilier and this is supposed to be hydrating. But on top of that, my makeup just didn't hold up very well. Like I didn't get that grippy effect that I would expect to get given that it's literally called the Grippy Primer or Grippy Serum. It just wasn't for me and one of those things that just did not live up to the hype I was seeing on social media. Next was the L'Oreal Everpure Bond Repair Oil-In Serum. Similar to Garnier Strength Repair, this line is a top drugstore recommendation of mine and it really is one of my favorite bond repair systems at any price point. So I was super excited to see them expand this line because I feel like for the longest time they have only had a shampoo, a conditioner, and and the bond repair treatment. And this oil and serum is claimed to reinforce weak hair bonds and leave hair intensely shiny and soft, which sounds perfect to me. The texture is a lightweight gel serum that felt nice to the touch, but when I tried to apply it to my hair, I definitely had a difficult time spreading it and applying it evenly. It kind of seemed like it was sticking to the area that I initially applied it and then drying before I was able to actually spread it. And then on top of that, I just didn't personally feel like I noticed a difference in softness or shine, certainly not intense softness or shine like they claim. At first, I thought maybe I just needed to add more product because their initial recommendation is to only apply a small amount. So I added more to see if that would help, but it just didn't. I feel like if anything, it made my hair feel worse, kind of like weird and stiff. So that one was a big bummer for me because when I first saw it, I for sure thought it was going to be a new favorite and it just wasn't. Next is the L'Oreal Skin Ink Foundation Concealer, which is another makeup launch that I had very high hopes for because of all of the hype and rave reviews I was seeing on social media. It claims to be self-setting, which is definitely one of the main things people would highlight when talking about how amazing this was. And in theory, I loved the idea of that, but I felt like it actually made it really difficult to blend easily. On my skin, for whatever reason, it seems to just immediately cling and start to settle so that when I tried to blend it out, it would go patchy. And it did that no matter what I used to apply it. A sponge, a brush, my fingers. I was determined to make this work because of how much people seem to love it. So I tested it with a lot of different tools. I tested it with different bases for makeup and sunscreen, had the same issue every single time. And I actually felt validated because when I went back to look at reviews to see like, am I the only one experiencing this? I saw one specifically from a makeup artist that said the exact same thing. Like everyone she was using this on, she was having the same issue. So I was like, okay, at least it's not just me. And I saw some people say that they also had a similar issue when using it as a concealer, but not when they tried to use it as a foundation. And as a foundation, it worked beautifully. So I should try it like that. But I just couldn't bring myself to do that because I really didn't like the texture. I just found it to be greasy, just not something I wanted to rub all over my face. Certainly not something I was excited to like feel on my skin like that as someone who's oily. So it was just one of those products that didn't seem to agree with my skin, which was a bummer because again, so many people love this. Next is the L'Oreal Professional Bond Repair System called Absolute Repair Molecular. It'd be like Absolute Repair Molecular Shampoo, leave-in, etc. It sounds weird just saying it like that without the product type at the end. I have tried L'Oreal Professional products before and really enjoyed them, and I obviously love the L'Oreal products at the drugstore, especially the drugstore bond repair system, so this is something I thought I would really, really love. And I think with this specifically, I was hoping for a bond repair experience that felt elevated and luxe because it's obviously a much higher price point than the drugstore option. I think I was envisioning that this would give me a similar experience to something like Oribe Gold Lust, where it just makes you feel like you are using something expensive because of the way that the products feel, because of how they smell. Like, again, it just feels elevated. But I unfortunately did not have that experience. I will say that none of the products were bad. I just wasn't obsessed with any of them. Like the shampoo just wasn't a good fit for my scalp type. I felt like I needed to use dry shampoo immediately the day after using it, which obviously means it's not cleaning my scalp and hair enough. I liked the texture of the rinse off serum. It was like a nice silky liquid, but I just had a bit of a harder time getting it to apply evenly because it has a pump on it instead of a squeeze nozzle. The leave-in mask I liked the best. It was definitely my favorite of the 3 products I tried, and if I were to keep something from this collection, it would have been that, but I just couldn't because of the smell. So let me first read the notes because they sound beautiful. Fresh, salty bergamot, smoky vanilla, everlasting flower. That sounds exactly how I would want hair care products to smell for an elevated luxe experience. Like it sounds amazing. It was not. I just found the fragrance to be so strong, so overpowering. Like I swear, almost to the point of making me feel nauseous. It was just way, way, way too intense for me. And that is, well, I was gonna say that's something that's like so upsetting in a situation like this. But again, I wasn't obsessed with any of the products. The only one I really loved the feel of was the leave-in mask. But like, if I had loved everything, that would be something that would really, really bug me because I hate when I love a product, but can't keep it because of the smell. Like, oh, that drives me nuts. So while I love L'Oreal hair care, this one was a no. Next up is a sunscreen that I included in a giant review of all 35 of the Asian sunscreens that I have been testing out over the past couple of years. It is the Celamax Oil Control Light Sunscreen, and I feel like I didn't even realize that that was the full name of it I'm like, you could not be more opposite of what you called your product, which we'll get to, but you guys know if you watch my channel that I am obsessed with Asian sunscreens. I love them so much. They just are, they're elite. Like, we have nothing like that here in the States yet. Allegedly, we have a new filter approved coming soon, which may change things, but for now, you just can't compete with Asian sunscreens, and for that reason, I have very high standards when it comes to Asian sunscreens. But this one just didn't meet those standards for me. It really is nothing like the light, silky, fluid, amazing Asian sunscreens that I love. It's a thicker cream that I felt was a bit pasty, a little greasy, and it also dried down to have a white cast on my skin. So that one was just not something I wanted to keep in my collection. I never would have reached for it, but there are so many other Asian sunscreens that are so good. So I will list that giant review that I did in the description box below if you are on the hunt for some new Asian sunscreens that are actually amazing. Next up, we have the Rhode Peptide Lip Shape. I definitely enjoy several Rhode products, but I'm not one of those people that's like die hard for the brand. I feel like there are just some people that are obsessed with everything Rhode, and I don't certainly fall into that category. But when I saw this launch, I was like, oh, I need to purchase immediately, because not only was the entire collection just a beautiful shade range, but there were a couple colors in particular that I was like, those look like my perfect lip liner shades. And now that the Sephora gel lip liners that I loved so much that were perfect shades for me have been discontinued, rest in peace. It would have been so great if these ended up performing well for me, because the shades are truly beautiful in person too. But it obviously did not perform well for me. It's a super creamy formula that never sets down, at least it didn't for me. So I just found that it faded really quickly, it slipped and moved around, it bled, it just looked kind of messy, and did that so quickly that it just wasn't something that would make sense for me to keep to reapply. Because it's like, I'm okay reapplying every so often, but if it's that often and things are looking bad and messy in the meantime, there's just no point in me using that when there are so many other amazing lip liners that don't do that, especially for a cheaper price. Okay, another lip product, oh my gosh, that I was so sad about, the Makeup by Mario Hydrating Super Shine Lip Gloss. This was kind of similar, where I was so excited because of the shades, honestly even more so the range of just gorgeous pinky tones that they launched that were perfectly sheer. You guys know that this is my kind of thing. And when I first applied it, I felt that same way, to where I was like, oh, this is my favorite kind of formula in a lip gloss. It's thick, but not so thick that it feels like a mask or a treatment. It's comfy, it's cushy, it's high shine. It had like a light, sweet vanilla cake-like scent, like check for my favorite kind of a lip gloss. Which is why I was extra bummed when I wore this the first few times and realized that this not only fades pretty quickly on me, but it also starts to get kind of like gummy and gloppy on my lips quickly as well. Just such a letdown, because again, the shades were so beautiful. I absolutely loved them in person. Like, I just felt like they were so flattering. They had the right amount of color. Oh, I wanted these to work out so bad. So I am sad that they're on this list, but that is why they are. Next up, we have the Shark Cryo Glow Mask. This is one of those things that I really expected to be kind of like an immediate favorite of mine. I obviously love Shark hair tools. They really know how to make an excellent tool. So I assumed nothing would be different for this mask. And there was also a lot about it that just made me even more excited to try it. Like the fact that it had both red and blue light, in addition to a cryotherapy feature for underneath the eyes to help with depuffing. Like, so much about it, I was like, this sounds really great. But it ended up falling flat for several different reasons. The first being that I just found it pretty uncomfortable to wear. Not only was the mask itself heavy and just like the weight of that felt uncomfortable, but also because of the fact that there are metal plates underneath the eyes for that cryotherapy feature. So the hard metal pressing against my under eye area with the weight of the mask, like across the board, just not comfortable. I was really hoping that the metal plates would be removable, not only to make it more comfortable to wear, but also so that you could target that under eye area with red light, but they're not removable. Which means that you're spending all this money on a mask that does not allow you to target one of the main areas you would want to target red light with. Like, that just felt like a miss to me. For so much money, you should be able to target those primary areas that people are most likely to experience accelerated signs of aging. I also felt like I kind of was having a hard time breathing every time I had it on, which is weird. Like, it obviously wasn't to the point where I was like, I can't breathe, I have to take this off immediately. But the fact that I noticed that, I was like, this is strange. And when I combined all of that with the pretty loud, whirring kind of vacuum-like noise that the cryo feature made when it was turned on, I was like, you know what? This is not a very relaxing, comfortable mask to use. And again, when I'm spending so much money on it, I would like for it to be. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm like, it was an okay first attempt, but several improvements need to be made on this for me to feel like it's worth the money. Next, we have the Kerastase Chroma Gloss. I would like to start off by saying that if it were for just the product alone, it would not be on this list because I actually think it's nice. I don't have like major issues with it. It certainly didn't do anything to my hair like the Garnier conditioner did. It just wasn't nearly as nice for me as everyone on social media was making it out to be. I feel like I saw so many videos where people would be ranking hair glosses and give this like a 100,000 out of 10. So I had super high expectations for that. I thought that this was going to be one of those products where I was like, my hair is liquid silk. And it just wasn't. It wasn't bad. It just was nowhere near as incredible as the internet made it out to be. Like, I feel like in those ranking videos, I would see like an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, a 3 out of 10, a 4 out of 10, and then this one would be the 100,000 out of 10. So I was like, this is just gonna be the best hair gloss I've ever tried, and it wasn't. I've tried other hair glosses that definitely give me better results, just softer, silkier, shiny hair, including the L'Oreal hair glosses, which are $50 less. Which is definitely another reason why I included it in this video. Like, if you're gonna be $62, I expect you to be just worth that price point, and I don't feel like it is. I also hated the smell of this. It smelled like the weirdest combination of dust and roses to me, like dusty roses. It just wasn't for me. Oh my gosh. This lip oil, who did this? Who approved this? I would like to know because what the f***? It is the Hourglass number 28 lip treatment oil. And the fact that this was not only created, but then tested and approved for $56 is deeply disturbing to me. First of all, because for that price point, the texture should be impeccable. Like, there should not be a single thing about this that is not amazing, and it's grainy. It's not smooth, it's not cushy, it's not super comfortable. It's like, I was feeling it on my lips, like, for $56, this is what you give me? But even worse than that was the way it smelled and tasted. It was disgusting. Straight up essential oils. Like, from what I remember, it was like kind of like leafy trees and bushes and greenery. Whatever essential oil that is what it smelled and tasted like. And literally when I had it on, I was like, ugh. Okay. Like, one of those to where I was like, I have to take this off immediately. Is disgusting. I tested 40 lip oils and not a single one came anywhere close to smelling or tasting like that. I don't think I've ever smelled or tasted a lip product like that, period. And I have tried hundreds. No, 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 no. No, 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 I can do the shake like I do. Nobody can do the shake like I do. You guys are like, I have a freak full mom. So, I know I'm being like a little dramatic, a lot dramatic about that, but again, when you're that expensive, I feel like I reserve the right to be dramatic if you're that bad. Second to last is another lip oil that I felt like was kind of ruined by just one big thing. And if it hadn't been for that, this would have been like a favorite lip oil, favorite drugstore lip oil for sure, but it was not because of this thing. It is the L'Oreal Plump Ambition Hyaluron Lip Oil. I really loved everything about this upon initial application. The applicator itself was super soft and pillowy, which I feel like is not something I ever say about a drugstore lip product applicator. Like, it was just noticeably nice. The texture itself was very smooth. It was a little bit creamy, just really super. It was, what am I trying to say? It was just one of those rare formulas where right away I was like, oh, this is gonna be something special. And it also had really beautiful shine, nice and glossy, but not overly so. So across the board, all of that was great. What really ruined it for me was how intense the burning sensation is. I know that plumping lip products are super trendy right now and a lot of people really love them, but this was like past the point of tolerable for me. Because I can definitely tolerate a plumping lip product if it's something that's not too intense and then also fades. Like, if outside of that, the texture is amazing, the color's really nice, and it doesn't like super dry out my lips, I'll put up with it for like the pretty glossy look. But in this case, it was just, again, past the point of me being able to deal with it. The burning was, it just was way too intense for me. It was not worth the nice applicator and texture and shine, because I can get an amazing formula and shine elsewhere without burning the crap out of my lips. Last but not least for this video is the Chi Iron Guard 44 Heat Protectant Spray. This summer, I posted a dry aerosol heat protectant showdown because I was determined to find you guys an affordable option that I really loved. Because at that point, all of my favorites were pretty pricey, or at least not drugstore pricing, but they were worth it to me because they performed so well. They felt really light in my hair. They didn't leave any sort of just like gross residue that you can get with products like this, whether that be something crunchy or sticky or gritty or dry or powdery. They again just felt light in my hair and allowed my hair to continue to feel soft. This was very different from those right off the bat because it felt like hairspray. It really like clung to my hair, made it feel stiff and crunchy, and because of that was really difficult to brush through, which is always something that I like to try to avoid when I can because I don't want to cause breakage when I don't have to. But I was still willing to give it a chance, knowing that this is meant to be a stronghold hairspray type product. It's kind of like a hairspray and a heat protectant combined all in one. Especially because after brushing it out, I actually really liked the look of my hair at first. I felt like it had volume, my curls were more defined. I had high hopes for sure. But this had like the opposite of a stronghold effect on my hair. Not only did my curls not last for longer, but they fell way faster than they normally would with no style hold product whatsoever. And then on top of that, by the end of the night after wearing this, it just made my hair super dry and poofy and tangled, which made it really difficult to brush through. And then again, is making me worried about breakage for the second time in that same day of using it. It just made my hair look awful. So all in all, I felt like there just were no redeeming qualities about this, which is why I had to include it in my top 15 2025 fails video, which has now come to an end. Also, did anybody notice that I wore this exact same sweater in my 2024 fails video? Should I do that every year? Let me know in the comments below if you had the same experience as me with any of these products, or maybe a totally different one. I know that we all have different hair types, skin types, preferences, and that's what makes this so fun. And if you would like to see more highly critical, brutally honest beauty reviews from me, then you are in luck, because that is a lot of what I do on this channel. So make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for watching all of my videos. I love the freaking heck out of you guys. Make sure to stay tuned for my next one because that will be up a week from today. But until then, I hope you have a great week. You see yourself in the mirror?